don't know me, I'm Kathy Briles, and I'd like to introduce the other members of our group who are here with us this evening. Nadine Zeller is placing props, Jill Johnson, and Jim Engelman. There is absolutely no way that we could thank everyone who helped us with this project. We must have talked to every official in the city and the county of Napa, and they were all just great. Never met such a helpful bunch of people as we have, and wonderful leaders in the valley. Our project assignment is housing, and this is our vision.